Can you try to explain fundamentally like why having something like Primal is really important?
Yeah, man. I think it goes really deep. Like to me, social media has only been around for a short amount of time, right? Like we're just figuring out we're us walking, talking monkeys, how to share information with our rectangles and communicate to the world. And it's beautiful to see the change that we can create in the world because we have access to internet and smartphones everywhere. But the problem is right now is that all the information and the way that information is given to the people is dependent on companies and corporations with their own incentives. And those incentives have nothing to do with you. It just has to do with their bottom line. No matter, they can call the page the For You page or anything, but they really just want to keep you, addicted to the screen and watching more content and just, satisfying your dopamine needs for the day. But more than that, just the fact, I mean, we've seen big tech with the ability to kick off sitting presidents, and it's not like these guys have been elected to their positions. you know, and just the power these companies have is kind of ridiculous. So it's all kind of ripe for disruption as we kind of learn how to have like healthier relationships with our devices. That's the way I see it.
Well
Dude,
said.
you just tapped on two of like my major questions that I had for you in one in the first 2 minutes. Um, so I guess I'll start off with like the sitting president getting kicked off of social media.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think of that, and like how do you think that um also even the response to that, right? Like him creating his own social media and like
Yeah.
that being
Hilarious.
the answer to that. What are your thoughts on that whole situation?
So I actually have a lot of insight into this. So Jack Dorsey founded Twitter, right? And Jack right now has primal.net/Jack in his bio on Twitter. Why is that? It's because he doesn't think that any one CEO should have the power to ban any president. That's wild. And how does Primal fix that? How does Web3 type protocols for social media, how does it fix that? It would mean that your identity is not owned by Twitter. You actually own it. So your content is displayable in all these different apps. So when Jack had to deal with this whole banning Trump thing from Twitter, it was because he has this publicly traded company and he has shareholders and he's got these advisors on the board that, and he's got terms of services as well. And Trump was pretty clearly violating those terms and services because like there's going to be violence being incited. So Jack had to make the decision for his company, which might have been the right decision for the company, but it was definitely the wrong decision for the world, just being able to flex like that. So it's pretty gnarly. And all this is fixed if we move away from the platform lock-in and move to protocols. Because say Primal was to ban Trump or ban anybody that's violating our terms of services, it wouldn't matter because we don't have the ability to actually muzzle that person because you could just see their content and they don't lose any of their followers in just another app. So it would harm Primal because we'd lose a bunch of users if we banned Trump or whatever. So it fixes it at the root cause because all the free speech, like right now, the political environment and everything is much more like forward, like free speech happy, but they're still just like social media today. They're just like proxies for the government. Like even Elon has to bend the knee because it's just trapped. Everything's right here in that box.
Yeah, the incentive structures is one of the biggest fundamental problems that the average person using these things really doesn't think about. Because you're like,
Yeah.
okay, how could they control this? It's like, well, we saw it happen all the time, everywhere. YouTube wasn't immune to this as well. When the whole adpocalypse thing happened, they were stressing because all of these major advertisers pulled their money from them. So they were forced to scramble and really kind of bend the knee to accommodate whatever they wanted. And then the creators ultimately got impacted by that. So it happens
Mhm.
all over the place. And it really comes down to the incentive structure. So I think that was really well said. Keith, you said you had a second thing you wanted to ask him about?
Yeah. So it's all tied into that concept of like the incentive structures and the models. Maybe, Paul, if you'll take a second to walk someone through, like, what does the business model for a Facebook, which we had the Cambridge Analytica problem with back in 2016 as well, or Twitter right here, where we had the same issue with Trump, or not the same issue, but other political issues with Trump. Why does the incentive, two things, why does the incentive model kind of not work for the people? And then why does the incentive model also push these platforms towards governments kind of trying to be in control of it or whatever? Does that kind of make sense what I'm trying to ask
Yeah,
there?
yeah. Let's make sure I remember both parts of that question. But we'll start with the incentive models. So they're really just incentivized to keep you scrolling so that you run into more ads. So what does that mean? It means that the content that you're shown, it's going to be something that, draws you in. And it's like designed for addiction. And now since they're publicly traded, then they're dependent. Like I think I read that Meta was like 95% of the revenue does come from this ad model. And don't get me wrong, before I talk too much trash on it, like it's very useful. Like people are making thriving businesses on this. It's just, I personally hate consuming content on Instagram and I don't do it because I just get trapped there. So it's like fundamentally not healthy for you to be completely dependent upon the ad model. There's better platforms like Substack has their model's much better. It is still kind of just more of the same. Like it's not like there's no sovereignty in it. You can't leave really with your audience, and it's just another email password. So but it's a step in the right direction. Like the Substack only gets paid when their users gets paid. So there's a lot of ways to do it, and we're going to be experimenting with our own things in the future when we get more users and everything.
Understood.
And then
And
the
then on
second question of like, how are like these big tech platforms more powerful than governments? I was reading this book about Facebook, early Facebook, and just how it all kind of came to be. And then in the 2016 election, it was just like we really realized how powerful Facebook was because he kind of allied with Trump and everything. And next thing you know, he's having all these leaders not come to talk to him about policy or anything, but just to take selfies, just because like he is the
He figured it
engagement,
out.
like, like the clout and everything. So it's just kind of strange how it all, we're just like these status seeking monkeys, and that's never going to change. And social media is now this weird new way that we see each other's status and stuff. And that probably won't change, but it's all in the math there. Like the fundamental flaw is that like Zuck did connect the world, but the fact that it connected the world dependent on a corporation is just like totally out of whack and imbalanced.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the same with crypto. So
Yeah.
that's why people.
What do you mean by that?
So like I'm only into Bitcoin, but just like the balance of power with the way we do money today is just like dependent on a certain amount of people.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
instead of being able to be ran by anybody in the world and contributed to by anybody in the world. It's
Yeah.
like
We talk
dependent.
Yeah, we talk a lot about the power structures and how we talk about crypto a lot. This is a crypto show. So we'll definitely talk into Bitcoin more and how you found that and all that stuff. But on the side of the social media platforms, I love that you brought up the Trump example because I was deep into social media before that election. So I saw firsthand the significance of how powerful these things were in terms of shifting thought. But the masses had not woken up to that. So when he was running his campaign, I was telling everyone at my school that he's going to win. And everyone hated me for saying that.
And this
they
is
thought
2016 you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, 2016. Yeah, so
Yeah,
the first time he won. And I'm like, he's gonna win. And everyone's like, are you a big and then I got labeled a Trump supporter because I said he was gonna win. And I'm like, oh my God, no, I'm saying he's going to win because I see what he's doing. Right. And then I remember specifically the first time I said that in front of my girlfriend at the time, and like her friends were like, oh, we can't talk to you. And I was like, that's the significance of like how powerful these platforms are. And so I saw that happening a mile away. And now people are finally waking up to the reality of it, which is why I think what you guys are doing is so important, because I do think that people really do want options. But how do you wake them up to, I guess we talked a little bit about it, but how have you guys found getting people to Prime? Because changing behavior is like a very difficult thing to do. And because really these were pioneers in the space, the experiences that people have had on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube, there's not really been comparables. And so if they go anywhere else for a similar kind of content and doesn't feel like where they normally get it, it feels uneasy to them and then they leave. So how have you guys dealt with that whole piece?
If you're enjoying this, then you would really enjoy the full conversation, which you can find by clicking the link in the description down below. But for now, back to the clip.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could talk big game like, yeah, Primal's ready to take over the world. We're going to be the next TikTok or something like that. But no, that's not going to happen. Social media is just as good as your friends. If your friends are there, then you're going to be there. And right now, it's just basically another Bitcoin Twitter. And we need to lean into that more and more and more and keep building the tools for Bitcoiners. And next thing you know, more people might come. And it is really hard to overcome the network effects of these other platforms. And the pipe dream is to do that and to be able to compete and everything. But we need to stay like honest with ourselves and, just build a great tool no matter what it is. But yeah, we're still like in the first inning, I think.
I agree. Yeah, but you guys are doing pretty awesome. I think you guys are definitely one of the real players in the space. Can you
Yeah,
explain how the technology even functions?
yeah,
Because I
let's.
think yeah, explain because like I think people are like, what the heck is this Bitcoin, Twitter? Like, yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. So it's kind of similar to Bitcoin. So your audience will be familiar with private keys and public keys. So your identity on this protocol, which is called Nostr, is your private key, and then your username is like your public key. So, and then when you post your content, it goes to a bunch of servers called relays. So that means um, your content's decentralized and it's censorship resistant. Then anybody can run a relay, and you can post without permission. So
That's
that's
awesome.
very basic level. Just that's just like the infrastructure. It is a very simple protocol upon which anything can be built.
Mm,
And the cool thing about it is just like um, how all the infrastructure being built around Bitcoin and, like, and crypto and everything makes it all kind of come up together. Any app that's built on this protocol called Nostr could be the tide that raises all ships.
mm.
So, for example, Vine is actually coming back on Nostr. So that could be just like this way to create a bunch of new users, and they're not even going to know they're using Nostr. They're not even going to know that they're decentralized or sovereign or anything. Um, and yeah, it could happen like that.
That's what you need to do. We've talked about this a
Yeah,
lot too. You'll reach mass adoption when people don't realize what they're adopting in the first place. They're just
yeah,
getting an experience that they enjoy. And so I already have a Primal account. So like this is what the UI UX looks like. It's very Twitter esque. Like it looks pretty clean. There's a bunch of different things that you can do. The core button is your wallet. And so I made my profile a few months ago because we were trying to get Jeff Booth on the show, and my friend told me he only uses Primal. And
yeah.
so I made the account to try to do that. And so there's some amazing people on there, obviously. So where can people download Primal? You got a point, Keith?
Yeah, feel free to answer that question. And I was just going to ask, like, yeah, what is like the psychographic of the person that's using Primal today? Like who is that core user?
So it's kind of cool. We got, yeah, a lot of Bitcoiners because they just kind of get it and they're actually willing to deal with bad UX. And then they're, they're like, and they're like the
Capitalism.
freedom fighters, they see it, they see through all the bullshit. But then there's also like these decentralized doctors that kind of remember what happened in COVID and all of that. Like, that's another huge reason why we exist. Information needs
Mm.
to be free. Like, and there can't be central arbiters of truth, which has been these corporations CEOs, which is wild. But so yeah, we got these doctors and stuff, and then we just got, what's awesome? We got a bunch of these homesteading gardening folk who kind
Interesting.
of just all into sovereignty and land sovereignty and growing, fruit off your old land. So it's like it's really wholesome. And I hope that wholesome trend continues. And then I'm just trying to rally all my close friends in the health space and everything that to hop on too, because I think everybody kind of gets it right now that like social media is basically seed oil, and we all
Mm.
know it. So yeah, there's some of my friends on there that are into the health space as well.
That's a really good point that you mentioned there that I really didn't explain very well, where you can control what the platform does and what it does and doesn't allow if you have enough money. Because if you're saying, oh, I won't give your platform money if you allow content like this, then in turn they're censoring it because they have to. It makes profitable sense. So I think that's really
Mhm.
important to consider too. And this question comes from the chat, which I think is worth considering. Is the platform family friendly or is it no holds barred?
So it's in the middle. So right now it's not going to be as PG-13 or whatever you'd call Instagram. Like I don't know if kids should be in social media at all. Like that's a whole other
That
topic.
that's a big
But
conversation right now.
that's a big conversation. It's actually, but on like I don't see much crap. Like we censor the AIs, like I mean, like the CSAM stuff, like that. We have stuff for that. And while it's censorship resistant, like we still do have the ability to make sure it's not terrible. You know what I mean? Like bad images and all that shit. So it's, but it is free speech. Like we don't really monitor what people are saying or anything.
And is it available on Apple and Android devices?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so
And
you just
then
go
it's
to the
all
App
open
Store.
source. You could download it straight from the Git too if you want.
Sweet. Amazing.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can go find that and download. Go ahead, Keith.
I'm gonna have to push on this a little bit too,
Yeah.
because um, I know we have a lot of smart people in the audience. So for the process of being able to like take stuff off of the platform, like what does that actually look like?
So we can just hide stuff from Primal, but we can't take stuff off of the whole Nostr ecosystem.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's like it's the best of both worlds. It's like true free speech, because if it's not on Primal, just go to the other app and you'll see it. Like, and we don't want our stuff turning into like something weird, you know?
And so Primal is and you can correct me here. It's a UX or UI that's built on top of Noster.
Perfect.
And so everything that's happening there is still happening,
Mhm.
Mm.
but you can choose to filter, basically.
Yeah, like we don't really filter much. We just make sure there's not any weird, CSAM stuff going on.
Right. Because in that situation, it would probably create legal issues for you,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah, exactly. Like we have a terms of service, man. We're trying to do this thing like we're trying to do it, we raised before and now we're going for it.
Yeah, I think that. Go ahead, Keith. You got more?
I was just going to say, like, what do you think in the end, like, what if, because Noster itself can be improved upon as a protocol, and I imagine there's some sort of UX or UI that's there too. Do you feel like you're potentially susceptible to Noster itself, like continuing to grow and
Being a
develop and
limitation?
compete with you, or being a limitation?
So Nostr just this protocol. Like you can build anything on top. Nobody owns it. It's all open source, and everybody can just make their own apps. Like, yeah, we might be competing against other social apps. Other social apps may have their own niche. Primal is going to have our own niche. We're going to have some updates, can't talk about yet, but we're going to go try a different route. Besides just like the social media stuff, we're going to take a slight twist, um, but still have the whole social network attached to it, which is awesome. There's a Signal like competitor. It's like literally the same. It's very similar to Signal, but it uses the public key, private key stuff for identity, like the Nostr provides. And then it's also like Signal is dependent on one central server. And now since they built theirs on Nostr, it's not. So that one's called White Noise, which is a chat app. Pretty excited about as well.
Cool. So I want to highlight why my question wasn't really the best question, because if it's like if you're talking about the internet,
Mhm.
right? Like the internet doesn't compete with any apps that's built on top of it, right? Like it allows that to exist. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to kind of like clean up my line of thinking there.
Yeah.
But fantastic. I appreciate you going in on that.
So now I'm sure it's clear to the people watching why decentralized social media is such a big deal. And I think that if you are passionate about the things that we're talking about, you got to go try to like use these experiences, because much like we talked about, the network effect of them is so real. And so, yeah, the only way the experience gets better is if you go there and contribute to making it better. And so that happens one user at a time. So definitely,
Yep.
whenever you come across a platform like this, go try it and see. You might like it. You also, one of the big arbitrage opportunities for platforms like this is there's probably some amazing people on there, much like Jeff Booth. We actually provided an example in this episode where that might be like the only places you could get a hold of them, or the only places they really create. So there's a lot of arbitrage opportunity for both education and connection on platforms like this before they blow up. So that's always something as a social media strategist I've always been big on. I'll go to like any platform, make an account and try to see what's going on there. So definitely take advantage there.
Hey, you're still here. Means you must have really enjoyed this. If you want to see the full version of this podcast episode, click the link in the description down below. And otherwise, YouTube thinks that you'll like this.